Yeah, these guys get bolder and bolder every day. Right, let's just start off with a little bit of, just a bit of food everywhere for everybody, just to sort of, you know, just to fill the hunger pangs for everybody. Let's just do that. First things first. Let's just pick a couple out. Then next, anybody who's interested in hand feeding gets the seeds. How about that? How about that for a deal? Huh? All right, I reckon that's on you, deal, guys. We'll just throw a bit of food out for the stragglers, and that can be pellets to fill your bellies. Oh, they're about to start pecking me in the back. Yep, I know you're there. I know you're there. Yeah, it's kind of funny because we've kind of gone from this like nervous, almost trusting, to like just an insistent, like pecking me in the back. Give me the food, damn it. It's almost like I'm just one of the ducks now. Yeah, I got to teach some of these boys a little bit of manners. They just like to try and bite my hands. And although it doesn't hurt, it's just rude. Wow, what happened there? Oh, literally, this girl, I thought something had bit me or something. It probably did. She just like bit me on the back of the hand. All right. I see that you're hungry. Mate, she's starving. So you're going to let her have a little bit. Yeah, this guy wasn't having none of that. You have a bit and then let her have a bit because she's starving. She's clearly starving. All right, look, I'll share between you two. Dottie, I think you're being very reasonable because normally he wouldn't entertain her coming in and eating like that. So come on, I think you're being very reasonable. Look, I can't reach any further. I'm kind of twisted around here. Come and get it if you want it. All right, look, there's some on the ground for you. You eat those. Let me feed some of these other boys. You know, guys, I think it's just an issue. If you when you're all starving, you're all just like to tear each other's heads off. Whereas I think once everybody's just had a little bit of food, then things get a little bit calmer. What do you want? Johnny down my hand. Well, take a lot. So yeah, a new evolution in bird feeding prowess. If um, if we can kind of just take the edge off of everybody's hunger, just dish a bit out wildly, we're going to get a much more orderly feeding frenzy. Still a frenzy. Yeah, I've never seen or I've never noticeably seen the males when they lose all their winter coat, but they look pretty similar to the females. Different, but you know, there's a much more striking difference in the summer, in the winter, sorry, in the spring. Oh, you behind me? All right. I see you. Oh, you're a nipper, aren't you? Huh? You're a nipper. Are you coming then? You just chased them off. Come on, be brave. Come on, buddy. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Good lad. Good lad. Go on. Fill that up. Fill that belly. There you go, son. There you go. Good lad. Yeah, I think once they kind of know that it's coming around, they're a bit more patient. No, he's not. He's going to chase one off. He's like, nope, that's my food. Is that what you were saying? Mhm. Ah, the confrontations are a lot less fervent at this time of year, it seems. A month or two back, some of these get quite heated. But they're pretty much resolved down to, a little peck in the back, and the other animal kind of toddles off. Although I did see a lot of action yesterday. You done for now? You need a drink? Come on then. Yes, it is your turn. It is your turn. He's like, is it my turn? Is it my turn? Yes, it's your turn. You have been chosen. You had enough? Do you need a drink? Mm-hmm. You a drink? Who's next? Who's next? Oh, scraps on. I did just say there's not so many scraps, but there you go. A brief one. Come on, it is your turn. Ah, come on, boys. He's hungry. That's one of the challenges here is making sure they all get a bit of food. Because the more dominant animals are always going to take more. And although I recognize some of these guys, it's pretty much impossible for a human, I guess, to differentiate between 40 odd different ducks. Some of them have very distinct characteristics, like almost little deformities or scars or something. So it's a bit easier to sort of remember who they are. But I think if I know 3 or 4 of the males and maybe one of the 2 females, I'd be surprised. They all seem to know me, I think. Come on, be brave. Be brave. All right, let's give these rats something. Poor little babies. They got to eat too. All right, any more hand feeders? Any more hand feeders? Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. No? Are you all done? Yeah, one more. One more. Go on, Sonna. Don't get bullied out of position. You were finished. You're just eating more because he's eating more. All right, come on, let's see if the mama's coming in. Come on, sweetheart. Get in there quick. Come on, get as much as you can, quick, because they're going to chase you. Go on. Ah, well done. She's not taking your food, man. Plenty there. Oh, he's very gentle. And I suppose trying to distinguish these by their coats and things, the colourings, you can do, but the colouring changes. As we're seeing now, they're moving into this stomach coats. It's just that. Come on, let's quickly. There's some for you. And there's some for you, Mama. No? Come on, quick, quick, while they're not looking. You hungry? Come on, come on. Yeah, hi everybody. I'm well, thanks, Bergen. Thank you. Well, that was very nice, was it? Mhm. You know, I guess you can see how the more dominant animals definitely get the better quality food. You know, even if you try and feed the less dominant animals, these guys won't tolerate it. You know, they'll allow them some food, but you know they're going to take the bulk of it. But the more dominant, braver guys, they know where the best quality stuff is. Next to me. Come on, are you coming or what? Are you coming or what? Come on, come on. You can do it. Be brave. Come on, I'm a funny stretched angle here. There you go. Sorry, dude, I just couldn't maintain that stretch. All right. You can. I've said this before. I can kind of tell which one sort of wants to come over and feed. You know, they give a very definite sort of head movement, bobbing action. Like a focused head movement that they do. Like this one's kind of doing it at the minute. I don't know if you can see. Not now, but mm, I'll try and capture what I mean. It's funny, the more time you spend with animals, you start to read their body gestures and things. You know, communication, I guess, it's happening on so many levels between animals, between people, words, noises, movements. Oh, you're hungry. Is this your first one? Is this your first lot? You're a pretty boy, aren't you? Mhm. Do I get a stroke? Do I get a stroke? No, no. You can feed me, but don't touch me. That's the rule, isn't it? Well, that's the rule for now. But there's gonna be some stroking. I tell you guys, I want my money's worth. Hungry boy, right here. You're gentle, aren't you? Very gentle, this one. Come on, Mama. Get in, quick as you can, because they're gonna chase you. They're gonna chase you. Come on, get it quick. Get it quick. He's gonna chase you. Dirtbag, aren't you? Hmm? Yeah. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What you guys spotted? What you guys spotted? What's going on? The trouble on the river? It's funny how they do this. You know, they all kind of spot something or hear something going on. Quick, let's get you fed whilst they're all distracted. Come on. Don't worry. Here, do the food. There you go, girl. There you go, sweetie. What's going on? Something's going on. Something's going on. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Tell me. Would anybody know what's going on right now? Something's going on. What on earth? What on earth is going on? What on earth's going on? What on earth is going on? Oh, is that a new female at the back there? Isn't that weird? She stood there stock still. Was she here before? Am I looking at the wrong thing? But she is set apart from everybody. What's she saying? What's going on? This is so weird. Guys, what's going on? This is so strange. Oh, plenty of food left. They're all hungry still. But something is taking priority. Is that female at the back commanding them something? You know, strange. Very strange. I've got no idea what that could be. Are you coming in? You coming to get some food? It's starting to be over, whatever that was. Sometimes I'll see them do that and they all jump out and they all stare at the water and crane their necks a bit like they were at the beginning. But it's almost as if they've seen some danger in the river, like a pike or something. I don't know. And they all kind of jump out and they wait for a while. They all search and watch. And then after a while, one of them jumps back in and slowly they all get back in. But this was something different. I think, like my theory is it's something to do with that female at the back. And that must be her breeding partner at the moment. And she she said something or like decided something. You coming, Sonna? Come on. Let's get this feeding back on. Come on. Is it almost over? Come on. Are you guys coming? Is it over? Come on, if you're gonna feed. Are you gonna feed? No. You guys aren't even the brave ones. Come on then. Any takers? No? You coming? No? So it's not even the braver, more dominant ones who end that first. I'm so confused by what that just was. I mean, for me, it kind of seems as if, there's a level of conversation or something going on, a very deep something just happened in the group. What that wasn't casual because the way every single one of them moved at the same time and moved over to her, and she still kind of sat out there. Nobody's messing with them. What was that? Maybe they heard foreign ducks. Maybe that was a rallying call, but you would have expected the male to head that challenge. Oh, I don't know. I don't understand enough about the hierarchy in these situations, but you would imagine if it was foreign invaders like other ducks, are the ducks just welcomed in, or do they have to come in slowly? Like, is this like an established? Yeah, it was because originally we didn't. I don't think we had this many males, and there was about 12 of them came in all at once, and there was two very distinct populations for a good few months. But then over a period of time, they just all sort of amalgamated into one. So no, I don't think it was like you know foreign ducks coming in and taking over trying to take over the territory or anything. Right, let's see if we can get things back on track. Come on, sweetheart. Come on, sweetheart. Come on. Get in there quick before they come. Billy Betty, go on. He's coming. He's coming. Come on, sweetheart. There you go. Oh, well done. You got some. Yeah, those little gulls are pretty tough. I always thought one-on-one a duck would take a gull, but I saw a little skirmish between a duck and a gull yesterday, and the gull kind of got the better of it. He was kind of pecking at the duck's side, the wing, the feathers, and the duck kind of backed off and ran off. I'm not suggesting that the gulls are always going to win, but it was interesting. I thought the ducks would clearly be the winners, but I mean, I guess they've got those sharp beaks, haven't they? So a couple of pecks around the eyes or the heads. The duck's not going to be happy about that. The duck might have the strength advantage, but the gulls have got the tool advantage. They've got a little knife on the end of their head. I'm always trying to figure shit out. You know, I just want to understand everything. Everything's so confusing, isn't it? There's so much to understand in life. Maybe if I understood more of the basics, I wouldn't be worried about the complexities. Yeah, I think I've run away from the basics for a long time in my life. I think when you're not sort of brought up to be equipped to handle the basics of life, you kind of step away. And I'm not suggesting I'm stepping back into society in this stage of my life, but I am having another sort of dip in the water, so to speak, dipping my toes back in again. But this time in a more sort of constructive, uh, systematic, and well thought out way. I think instead of just getting annoyed at the world, sometimes you've gotta ask yourself what your current problem is. You know, relationships, work wise, whatever. Is there anything else? Leisure, spiritual, I guess. Health, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, emotional health. Yeah. So sometimes I guess you got to work out what the challenge is. And I guess there's leeway in different things because you can walk away from society, you can walk away from relationships, and you can do without those stuff and you can get on. I think your life will be less rich, but you can get on and you can create a stable life for yourself. I think a lot of people are doing that right now, aren't there? A lot of people are moving away from relationships, but that seems to be the overall plan, doesn't it? To get us all to stop having relationships with one another, to divide us all. I could go on about that, but what's the point? If you know, you know. Yeah, the rats have got no problem swimming. They seem just as comfortable on land as water. Come on. Anybody else going to do me the honor of feeding this morning? Hmm? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, you go, buddy. No? Come on, son. Hmm? Anybody? Any takers? No? Oh, come on. Yeah, I think once they've all kind of filled their bellies a little bit, their common sense returns. And they realize they really shouldn't be feeding from strange humans. Yeah, there's that female just off by herself. A couple of males flanking her. What was she doing? Very strange. Yeah, and as I said, I'm kind of moving back into not mainstream life, but back into a people's life, moving around, maneuvering those relationships. And I think the important thing to do, and I've kind of just realized this, I didn't always know this, if you've got a problem, you've kind of got to deal with it. And you've got to deal with it in the best way you can. Like, you deal with it in the way that you would like to and that you think is the best way. If you can't do that, and somebody else is sort of involved in that decision, you've got to try and just guide that person and continue to tell them. They say it takes you got to tell somebody something 6 times before they sort of hear it, understand it, and take it in. Sometimes it's a lot more for a lot of people. But right now, I'm currently trying to give the message to the organisation I'm working with that sometimes you got to go a bit slower. You got to go a bit deeper on things. Snap decisions and a lot of action isn't always the best thing. And I mean, that's very hard to tell to, you know, big companies that are making a lot of money. because they're like, well, my results speak for themselves, and in some ways, of course, they do. When you're churning over x millions a year, how how can how can people argue with that? But if you're turning over 50, but could be turning over 500, how do you get them to that stage? And it's hard because being brought in as an outside consultant, my role is to inject my knowledge, skill, and ability into that business. And I also think a lot of my role, that I believe my role is, that I've given myself the role of, is passing that knowledge on in some capacity. Not passing on my full knowledge of everything I do, because you'd have to become me to do that, but passing on the general gist of what I've learned in terms of, like, building good systems. Likewise, maybe I'm there to learn whatever those people want to teach me. And I think sometimes I push back on that. And maybe, however hard I push, is how hard they push back on me. So maybe I need to temper that. And I mean, I already have, and I massively have. You know, a friend of mine sometimes said, the person who's challenges you the most, and not always even in a good way, is sometimes the very person you need in your life, is sometimes the very challenge. And it may not actually be to learn what they've got to teach you. It may be to learn what they don't have to teach you. You know, and maybe to learn that you don't like what they're doing, you don't agree with it, but it then forces you to find an effective way of communicating that to them without causing too much of a problem. I feel that's kind of the position I'm in. So I'm both there to learn, to teach, and to deliver. So three things: learn, teach, and deliver. Am I learning? Yes, certainly. Certainly, I'm learning. Am I teaching? I'm trying. We'll see. I think I'm in the early days of that. Am I delivering? Yes, always. Slower than I would like, but I think that's going to come about from the teaching. Once I learn effectively how to get over the lessons that I need to teach this organization. There's a lot of companies out there who, old school companies who make a lot of money, but they're almost in the stone age in terms of the systems and the technology and their thinking. And I think the guy who's brought me in, he realizes that, he understands that, and he's kind of brought me in as new blood to pass on this information. But it's not going to be an easy thing. And if this is something that can go the distance, I think it's going to be a very interesting thing for everybody. I think I'm going to have to really excel myself in this current role. I think I'm going to have to find new levels. And one of the guys on the board told me that this would be a challenge. And I didn't think so, because nothing really is technically a challenge for me. But negotiating. I wouldn't say so much the office politics, but there's a bit of it. But it's the personalities. That's sometimes the tricky thing I think in a business is organizing the personalities. And I think this is why social skills are valued so much. Like women value social skills greatly. They're great at it. They're just born at it. Um, from a young age that they're learning this amongst their friends and whereas boys, we don't learn this stuff. We're absolute philistines until we're much older. We're just not naturally tuned that way. But I think if as a man you can kind of learn these things, I think it's valued quite a lot by women and I guess rightly so. I've seen some great guys who've obviously learned this stuff extremely well and they don't necessarily become like sort of alpha male leader types. They do become leaders, but they become like a different kind of leader. Most of your alpha male types, they don't really learn this stuff. They learn some of the basic social stuff to sort of, maintain a relationship, but they don't really do the most effective social skills. They're not really sort of thinking things through really carefully, like how to get the best out of each relationship. And as somebody like me who, and probably a lot of men out there, I didn't give a shit. You know, to me, if you're being a dickhead, then fuck it. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. You know, but as I've got older, I've realised that leaves you walking away from more situations than really you need to. Now, there are some situations, toxic situations, which you absolutely must walk away from. And the quicker the better. But that in itself is a lesson for you to learn that there are some relationships which are just unworkable, and you have to learn how to recognize those and be able to walk away from those. But there are others which are just difficult. But if you can master those, there might be a real gold nugget at the end. And I think this is the difference, isn't it? It's like the difference between like bullying and stuff when you're in school. Like like bullying is a big thing right now. And yeah, bullying, I think like, you know, ribbing somebody, teasing somebody to an extent is not a bad thing. It helps build character, it helps build toughness. But there comes a point where if it becomes too much for the other person, that actually damages that person. And I think at that point, that is when, for young people, schools and things should intervene and things should never go too far. They should be pulled back, separations, and people should be checked. But if it's just a case that you're kind of being a bit bullied or dominated, that's good because that allows you to work out what you're comfortable with, where your level is, and how much you want to push back, and and how to push back. But I think we all have our own comfort levels of what is okay and what is not. But a little bit of discomfort is not a bad thing, especially if it's handled with intention. You know, especially if you're especially if you're sort of aware of the current challenge and you're able to sort of step back. I do this a lot here. I do this a lot just in my regular life, where I sit and think, like, what is this challenge? I'll use AI a lot and chat for that. You've got to be careful with the AI. I mean, there's a lot of confirmational bias there, and it will just tell you what you want to hear. But if you can speak to it in a way that it will give you the correct information. But if you don't like it and push back too hard, it will completely change its tune to anything you want it to. And I guess that's like some friends, I guess, would be like that. They might tell you what you want to hear, but if you give them, they might tell you what you need to hear. But if you backlash too much on that, then, they're probably not going to do that again. And to maintain the friendship, they may just agree with you. And again, this is where good social skills come in, because something I've learned is that if you want to tell somebody something, you kind of have to do it gently. You have to do it very slowly over a period of time, and you have to let them. You have to let them do the work. You know, just because you've worked something out and you understood it, you can't just explain it in such a way that they will immediately get it and immediately start to do it. You have to give them the tools. The basic information, but you then have to give them the time to sort of sit and um, actually do it for themselves. And that takes time, because sometimes it's a case that you're speaking to somebody like once a month or something, and you give them a little bit. And I do this with certain people, they do it to me as well. And they'll give me like the next piece of information that I'm missing, the next step. And I just feed little bits in, one step maybe. And if I speak to them next time and they've done that step, they've made progress towards it, but especially if they completed it, I'll then give them the next step. And they might do that quickly. Next time you tell them, give them the next step, or it might be a case that they take a long time. So you leave that, maybe you move on to something else. But anyway, that's me done for the day. I'm gonna go and start my day.